My name is Zak Cunningham. I'm an Energy System Analyst with the Net Zero Fuels team at the Transition Accelerator. The Transition Accelerator is a pan-Canadian organization focused on accelerating net zero pathways. Well, I'm working on currently a broad Canadian energy system analysis, which is really looking at all aspects of the current Canadian energy system and understanding what it would take to make that system a net zero system. I work on the net zero fuel side of things. So I work on projects that examine where fuels such as hydrogen could play a role in a future net zero Canada. I would say that generally I've been very much a field person. So this would be my first office-based role that I've really had. Prior to this, I started in the oil and gas industry. I worked in oil field communications. After that, I decided to work a little bit as a roughneck. So I worked on drilling rigs as a roughneck. I worked on service rigs as a roughneck. Ended up going to school and ended up overseas as well, working in the field as well. Well, in my role today, I'm currently based remotely, so I do spend most of my time at home. A typical day for me would be, fire up the coffee maker first things first, and then head downstairs to my office. And after I'm at my office, I will start my computer and kind of take a look at what's happened overnight, see if there's been any emails come in, anything that needs to be responded to quickly, any meeting invitations that I need to accept. After that, depending on what project or what deliverable I'm working on that week, I will usually crank up Excel and start looking at some different types of models and be doing various calculations based on what were required for a project. Many times I do need to take a break and I need to get out of the house and I just go for a brisk walk around the neighborhood or into the park. And sometimes that's enough to just kind of clear my head. There are many challenges that exist out there, challenges that need to be solved. I think that's part of what interested me to get into my role. We don't want to simply do an accounting exercise where we're assigning energy values from here to here. Things have to make sense and they have to be based on regionality, including some of where these resources are located. There are a number of nuances just beyond the actual energy joules for joules comparison, right? We need to look at economics, we need to look at social impacts. If we look at Northern Alberta, for example, if we take a look at any of those northern communities, most of them are benefiting from oil and gas work opportunities and oil and gas economy. A lot of these are Indigenous communities, high population rates of Indigenous people. What are we going to do to be able to provide opportunities to these communities up north? I am Métis. I do come from, on my father's side, a Métis background. I would say that I'm very well connected within the Métis community within Alberta. I try to be a very active member. I think that certainly has affected who I am and my perspectives on things, especially the connection with the land. My dad was a hunter and that's what we'd eat for meat until I was in my teens, really. And my mom would grow a garden and that's what we would live off of. So through that, I was able to really have an idea of where we fit in the picture of nature and how it's a big system. I still engage in traditional harvesting practices, so I do hunt. To me, that's a part of reconnecting with the land, and that's connecting with where our food comes from, and that's really having appreciation that we're so interconnected. I look at things from more of a land-based perspective on our impacts to the land, no matter what it is, especially when we're talking energy sources. Everything we do has an impact, right? Whether it be a solar farm, a pump jack, a windmill, they all have impacts, right? My career background has given me, probably most importantly, a perspective on things. Having that boots in the ground, having an understanding of things and how they work in the real world, not coming from that direct academic background, kind of thinking you know everything, but not have had the chance to do anything yet. So I believe that really helped me give me some perspective, as well as having an understanding of how things work in Canada, from a weather perspective, from a project management perspective, and the challenges, logistical challenges of energy infrastructure in Canada. I would say that based on my past career to my career now, the skills that have been most transferable certainly have been my soft skills. I would say that the hard technical skills that I've used throughout, they give me some context, but I don't particularly use them on a daily basis. But I would say the ability to be able to speak to multicultural, large teams of people, which I really incorporated working overseas, as well as being able to work in high pressure environments and working on a team with a team, that really came from working on rigs in particular. So I would say that these soft skills are probably the most commonly used on a daily basis, and being able to speak to people you might not have known 5 minutes ago. I would say what initially got me into the energy industry was really my attraction to the kind of illustrious history of oil and gas within Canada. I'm very much a kind of a history buff. I would say to any young person today, considering a career in energy, there has never been a better time to get into energy. There is so much happening on so many different levels in so many different areas. It's a very dynamic industry to be in. It's constantly changing. There's an incredibly smart pool of people working in it, very talented people, and everyone's trying to figure out a solution to a challenge. So I would say that if you like solving problems, if you like challenges and are up for the challenge, I would say a career in energy is certainly for you.